Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, I have news about a couple of focus groups. So, you guys know I love focus groups. I think you get way better feedback, and I think that they're far more instructive than polling. So, these two focus groups were of all Black men. This was conducted by Engageus. These were all Black men, all who voted for Trump in 2024. So here's the breakdown. There were three from Georgia, four from Pennsylvania, three from Arizona, one from North Carolina, one from Michigan. As for their party affiliation, four of them identify as Democrats, two identify as Republicans, and six are independents. These are some of them, I should say, are people who voted for Biden in 2020. So 5 out of the 12 people voted for Biden. Um, they asked them, okay, are you now paying more attention, less attention, or about the same amount of attention to the news as you were before the election? 5 out of the 12 said that they were paying more attention. I'll get to why I questioned that. um, 4 out of the 12 said that they're paying less attention, and then three said, paying about the same amount of attention. So they asked, "What is your top issue? What is keeping your attention or keeping you up at night, so to speak?" One said layoffs, another said foreign issues and war, another said crime, one said tariffs, another said immigration, two said inflation, two said finances, and then one said eggs and general, grocery prices in general. Another said Social Security and veterans benefits. And then one said Israel's influence on the US. So a lot of varied answers, which is very different from the other focus group that I mentioned a couple weeks back. So a very, very different set of interests. And this group is very different than the focus groups that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. These people are, yeah, just different worldview all around, pretty much. Um, they said, "Can you give us a word or phrase to describe how you feel when you see Trump on TV?" Three of them were excited. One said frustrated. One said motivated. One said makes me laugh. Another said concerned. One said curious. Two said, I don't really feel anything. One said hopeful. One said content. So, again, very different than the previous focus group. The previous focus group was almost 100% negative. And that was a mix of white and Black people. So, again, this is just Black men, just in those states. So, those were all swing states. They also asked, why did you pick Trump over Kamala Harris? One said inflation and immigration were two of his main concerns. One said, well, he's a businessman. Two said that he basically he was more believable than Kamala Harris, which is unbelievable to me as someone who knows that Donald Trump lies basically as much as he breathes. Another one said, "Oh, I just don't think that Kamala Harris had the experience that she needed. And, I didn't really know what to expect from her." Another said inflation and immigration. And they thought that Trump would be more organized, that he would bring more organization, I should say, to the presidency, which is like, were you not paying attention during his first term? Like, whatever word is the polar opposite of organized, which I guess would be chaos, that is what we had in his first term. Two people said the economy. One said, oh, he's a man's man and that he does what he says he's going to do. Yeah. Another one was just as laughable, said, well, he's a man of his word and he'll get things done. Yeah, he's a man of his word, you guys. Why don't you go talk to any of his three wives if he's a man of his word? Another one, just again, laughable, said, well, I could identify more with Trump. And, I didn't really know who Harris was. I mean, maybe look into it and you can identify with Trump, a guy who was born with a golden spoon shoved up his ass, who literally has a gold toilet, who has never worked a real job in his life, who has had everything handed to him on a silver freaking platter. That's the guy you can align more with than someone who grew up, scraping by and working at McDonald's and putting herself through school and fighting for everything she got. I'm not a big Harris fan, by the way, but yeah, come on. Come on, people. Anyway, another one said, well, Trump was more real and Harris was trying to sell an image. I mean, I'm not going to say that's 100% wrong on Harris, but really, Trump is more real. Is he? So, this is what I mean. He comes across as more real because he says whatever floats through the transom of his mind. So, people want somebody less scripted. They don't even have to be honest, obviously, which is a sad state of affairs, a sad, commentary on us as voters. They also asked people to describe Trump's first 2 months in office with either a word or a phrase. I'm going to just run through them. Loud, fast moving, satisfying, chaotic, excited, good job, or excuse me, great job, good and cleaning house, fiery. Two of them said fearless. Another one said wild ride and entertaining. Yeah. Yeah. They also asked, okay, well, do you approve or do you disapprove of the new administration and the actions they've taken? 10 out of the 12 approve. Only two said, no, I disapprove. Yeah. And this was kind of a running theme that there were basically like two or three out of all these 12 who actually had a grasp on reality and actually really were paying attention to the things that matter. I mean, so many of these other ones were like, oh, I just want my $5,000 check. It's like, you're not getting a $5,000 check. Wake up. You're not getting that money. Then they asked them, if you had it to do over, how many of you would not vote for Trump again? How many of you would either abstain or vote for Harris? Again, only 2 out of the 12 said yes, I would vote for Harris. And one of them said it was because of all the layoffs that have been happening, that they're concerned about that and they care about people, losing their livelihood. That same person also said they're upset about the Department of Education being shuttered. That was visibly one of the younger men in these two groups. So I, assume he has, or I think he even said he was like in his mid 30s. So he obviously still has a child in school, where some of these other men were older and they don't care. It's like, I got mine. And then the second one who said, yes, if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't vote for him. They also cited the layoffs and, all this government upheaval as the issue. They then asked them, do you think that Donald Trump is doing too much at once and that he is not focused on the core issues that matter to you? 3 out of the 7 said, yes, I think that he is not focused on the things that matter to me. And, as we did see with the previous focus groups, this basically came down to the economy. I want him to focus on the economy. He's focusing elsewhere. They also asked, are you more anxious, less anxious, or basically the same in regard to the economy than you were before Trump took office? 3 out of the 12 said that they are less anxious than before Trump took office. Again, clearly not paying attention. 4 out of the 12 said, I am more anxious. And then the others were like, not really any different. So, yeah. And think about that. Only 2 said that they would not vote for him again. 4 are more anxious about the economy. So 2 of them are feeling more stressful about the economy now, but they would still vote for this guy. I mean, no logic whatsoever. They also asked, has Trump made fighting inflation a top priority? Only 3 out of the 12 said yes. So again, like one of the main reasons that most of these people cite is, oh, the economy, and he's a good businessman. He's going to get the, country's finances back on track. But yet, oh yeah, only 3 say he's actually making fighting inflation a top priority. The other 9 are like, no, he's not focused on it, and I don't really care. And I'll explain why in a minute. They also asked, do you approve or disapprove of what Elon Musk is doing with Doge? 5 out of the 12 said yes. 3 said no, I disapprove. 1 of them said, I don't really know enough to say. And then 3 of them said, I can't really answer that because in my opinion, it's too early to tell. It's not, but okay. And then of the people who said they disapprove, they gave answers because they asked him, okay, if you disapprove, why? One of them said, he's been given too much power. Other people agreed with that. One of them said, he's not elected and he's not going about this the right way. And others said that they were concerned about unintended consequences of what's going on. And then this was really interesting. The moderator asked, do you think that by Elon Musk having so much power and all the things that he's doing, do you think that it makes Donald Trump look weak? Because it seems like Elon Musk has taken over. They all said no, but 4 of them, oddly, said that they think it makes JD Vance look weak. So, yeah. But yet YouTube took down my video about the alleged rant that Vance had. So I don't know. They then asked them, okay, in Silicon Valley, in the tech industry, there's a saying that you move fast and break things and you can always fix them later. If you realize, oh, we shouldn't have broken that, we can go back and fix it. They asked, do you think that this is a smart way to deal with waste in the government? 7 of the 12 said yes. So again, they clearly don't understand. No, it doesn't work that way in the private sector. You can't fix something that you break when it comes to something that is life-saving for someone. Taking away funding, as Elon Musk and his Doge boy band has done for, cancer treatment and things like that, you can't undo that. You can't unring that bell. Once someone is denied care, once someone has been kicked out of I was going to say focus group, once someone is kicked out of a study for, a drug that they're trying to see if it's, potentially beneficial for that particular disease, and, the funding is cut for that, for randomized trials for new drugs they're trying to develop, the damage is done. You can't go back and fix that like you can in business. So anyway, they also asked them, have you heard any comments that Elon Musk has made about Social Security? 6 out of the 12 said, yes, I've heard it. 5 of them agreed that, yeah, they've heard that deceased people are receiving benefits, which is total bullshit, has been proven false. 4 of them said, yes, I've heard about the Ponzi scheme statement. And for those who don't know, Elon Musk was interviewed and he said, oh, she said this multiple times now. Oh, Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the country. Again, total and complete BS. But anyway, this is what is soaking through. This is what is seeping through to these people. So here's my general thoughts about these groups, about these men. Unfortunately, quite a few of them were bigoted towards transgender people. That came up. They were, as I mentioned, uninformed about several things, which is typical in these focus groups. You get a lot of uninformed people, but they were very uninformed, as I would imagine most MAGA people are, about the corruption in their own party. You know, they talked a lot about the corruption in the Democratic Party and the insider trading. And it's like, okay, well, yes, that's true. Yeah. And it's wrong. But it's also going on in the Republican Party. They act like, no, this is all a one-sided thing. Several of them made sexist comments that, you know, about women being too emotional to be president. That was a question that was posed to them, if they would ever vote for a woman, if they think that they're, you know, maybe too emotional, or what their reasoning would be. I mean, really? Women are too emotional? I mean, I guess in our society, we fail to understand that anger and violence is an emotion, or the violence that comes from anger and rage is an emotion. Those are emotions. Emotions, it doesn't just mean crying or caring about other people. You know, they made comments that, oh, well, you know, men are more logical and women are too emotional. Really? Really? You know, go watch the go watch the Senate hearings on Brett Kavanaugh and tell me again how it's women who are too emotional. As the guy breaks down, sobbing practically and talking about how he loves beer. Anyway, these people were very down on the Democratic Party. That was a huge thing. That's something that Fox News is reporting. That was their top line takeaway. They love the fight in the Republican Party. They think that the Democratic Party is too weak, which I completely agree with them on. They just think that the Democratic Party is filled with liars, which again, it's like, please go look at your own party, because that's on both sides of the aisle. And again, they voted for the biggest liar to ever hold public office. they literally voted for the biggest liar to ever become president in our country's history. And yet they're going to talk about the Democratic Party being filled with liars. Like, God, I mean, so these men were easily duped, apparently. They're very easily duped, either that or just they allowed their sexism and their bigotry against transgender people to win out. And that's why they couldn't vote for Kamala Harris. So, yeah. Anyway, very instructive. Definitely Trump attracts a certain type of man. I'm just going to put it that way. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.